Welcome to Elliott's PT podcast. I'm here to help you find your balance and live your best life guilt-free. I don't believe there is a one-size-fits-all approach for health and fitness. We're all different and we need to find out what works for us. I'm passionate about helping people make realistic, long-term lifestyle changes that they will stick to and they will take with them forever. I don't believe in crazy diets or short-term fixes. We all need to live and find a perfect balance in diet and exercise that suits our individual needs. I want to help you find your exercise mojo, feel great and achieve wonderful things. Here is Elliott's PT podcast by Renae Elliott. Hello, and welcome back to Elliott's PT podcast. Today I want to talk to you guys about results and how to make sure we are really making ourselves more accountable and the things that I think the habits we tend to have that we seem to overlook. So, everything that my belief is everything that you do needs to be sustainable. So I'm not into quick fixes. I'm really into you finding behavioral modifications that are going to give you sustainable results. And I want things to be easy for you. It has to be easy and it has to be something that you can live with. I'm always looking for ways to make it sustainable, something that you can live with. And I feel that if you've ever done anything in the past, you've restricted or any of those, you've restricted food or you thought you need to over-exercise, any of those things, they, really don't work long-term. And that's what's the thing for people to realize is, they might work in the short term, but long term they're not working. And long term, you're not going to stick to it. So if you have done certain things and you have done a different diet or something you've seen and you had lost weight and you think, well, I'll just do that again, but the other thing is it didn't actually work because you lost weight, but you put it back on. So it might have worked in the short term, but long term. And I'm really, really about, you've got to find something that is going to last forever. And my belief is that when you're giving up on all your happiness and your joy in life in order to reach your personal goals, that it's not really worth it. So when I first had, I remember when I first had Charlie and that's when I first really started truly understanding my macros. And because previously when I tried to look at it, I thought it was too hard. And when I first started looking at it, I thought, right, I won't have any chocolate. I think I lasted a day. But anything, it's just not worth it and it's not sustainable. And I think understanding that you've got to find something that you can stick to. So I first started looking and I was like, I'm not going to have any chocolate. And then all I did was think about having chocolate. 1 or 2 days later, I then reworked them out and made sure that I included that chocolate because I enjoy it. And so I do really think that if you need to give up all your happiness and your joy in your life in order to reach a personal goal, it's not really worth it. When people come to me and they come and they have a body scan and, and I show them photos of what different body fat percentages look like. And I'm like, this is this percentage and, understanding that these things are required a level of strictness in your life and that's fine. But in order to be this way, you might need to be stricter than what you're willing to be. And that's the thing that I really feel it has to be sustainable. And the minute that my goals, they come at the cost of my happiness or my fulfillment is the minute that I stop pursuing them. Or at least that way of finding those goals. That's the minute that I stop because it's not worth it. It is not worth it. And we're only here once and we need to find something that you can really live with. And with programs that I run, like the Little Black Dress Project and all of those things, that is the things that we try to get everybody to understand and we try to get them to work it out. So you've got to find something that is sustainable in order for you to reach whatever your goal is. Like if your goal is even about building strength or building muscle or any of those things, it's not, do you want to work out this many times a day? Is that realistic? Or this many times a week? Is that realistic to your life? It's got to be something that you can live with. I'm really honest with myself. And I think that some of us tend to not be we tend to tell ourselves stories, and we tend to make some excuses for things. And I think, if you've maybe been a certain way and you've put on a bit of weight, and it's easy to blame it on other things, but you want to be able to, or you want somebody to call you out, to kind of call you out and bring you back down, and to realize that, there are maybe some things that you haven't done perfectly. Like my husband was like, "You snack all the time." I was like, "No, I don't." He was like, "Yes, you do." He's like, "I see you pick at the kids' food." And I was like, and I didn't know I did that. I didn't realize I was doing that. And it's really good when you have somebody calling you out, or they say, "Oh, so you're eating Nutella for breakfast. There you go." And it's good to have somebody to call you out. And it helps make you that more accountable. And sometimes it's the thing that you need in order for you to go reach help, to go get help, and to make that change. So, there's lots of things that people like to say. So they say that they like to go to the gym, or they join a fitness program, or they join a gym and they're a member of the gym, but you're saying these things, but you're not actually doing anything about it. So I could say that I'm doing lots of things, but it's the doing, or the action, is what's going to really get me the results. And unless you're doing the things, nothing's going to change. And you're going to become the person that you want to be by what you're actually doing, not by what you're saying you're going to do. And, in my programs, I don't believe, like Little Black Dress Project and my group classes and all of those things, I don't believe in the traditional methods. I don't believe in over-exercising and restricting. I don't believe in, having to cut back on all of things. It's got to be something that you can live with. You've got to choose something that is sustainable. And I don't fall into the category of that quick fix, because a quick fix isn't going to work. It's not going to work long term. And, when lots of people, they start doing the programs and they realize that they can eat, like they can eat the foods they like, and they can make it work for them, and they, don't have to restrict, but you can do all these things. You can do all these things and get the results that you want. And in order to do these, we've got to get ourselves off. I want you to get off that hamster wheel. So getting off that hamster wheel, and you might be in a cycle of things that you've done previously, and it's just continuing that cycle, and nothing's really changing. And that's what I'm all about. It's really finding the thing that can work for you. But I think we all need a bit of honesty, and we need a bit of you need someone to call your shit out, so to speak, and that's what's going to help you really get the results. So I guess today's podcast is a little bit about something for you to think about, if and maybe I'm going to call you out. So when the thing that I think a lot of people struggle with, is they feel that they have to be perfect. So, they have to be perfect. And if things aren't perfect, then that's how things don't work. They believe that they, that everything has to be perfect. And if they have a plan and they eat off plan for one day, then that suddenly means that they're not going to get the results. And that just means we'll throw it all in the air. And I see people doing things like, a lot of people last cycle of Little Bit Dress was struggling with the weekends. They would be great during the week, and then they would come to the weekends and everything would go, but they would do one thing that they perceived as not how it should be, where with me there's no right or wrong. And then because of that one decision that they made, they then went, "Oh, well, I'll blow it for the rest of the weekend." And it's just one decision. Just do it, enjoy it, and move on, and don't rethink about it. And it wasn't that one thing that I guess stuffed them up. It was the whole weekend's actions, because that instead of churning from one meal, they then turned it into a 2 or 3 day binge and didn't move and all of those things. And some people, I know that you've done things previously and they feel like a real prisoner to their diet. They feel like they can't go out, they can't do things because they're on this plan. And that is not what I want for anyone as well. You've got to still be able to go and enjoy yourself. You know, like, oh, I'm doing the Little Black Dress project, I can't go out. No, not at all. Yes, go out, enjoy your night out, enjoy it, and come back the next day and keep going with what you're doing. It's not about that. And they feel like they have to follow these rules and that there's no room for error. And all of that stuff just isn't sustainable. And it's definitely what I'm not about. And what I really like to preach is that perfection isn't a thing. And I know some people have that perfectionist personality and they want everything to be perfect, but failure is really something that when you are starting in a program or when you are wanting to if you have got a goal that you really want to strive towards, failure is something that I want you to expect, because it's the best teacher. It's the best teacher ever. And it's such an important part of any process that you have in order to reach your goal. And, you know, when we understand from the very start that failure is something that's going to happen, it's inevitable, it takes all the pressure off. I was speaking to a girl the other day that we had just got a new, she was starting a new food plan. We'd gone through it all together. We'd set it, we talked about making it realistic, fit within her lifestyle and all those other things. We did all of this. And then I said to her, you understand that your weight loss isn't going to be linear, like you'll start to lose weight. But I wanted her to understand from the very start that she wasn't going to lose 500 grams a week and it was just going to keep going down, 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 down. Because again, that's not how it works. You might lose weight and then you might put on a little bit and then it will come down again, and it might stabilize for a little bit and then it will come down. It's never going to be a straight line down. It just doesn't work that way. And she was shocked and she looked at me, she's like, what do you mean? I was like, it's not going to. And I really wanted her to understand this from the start, because that way she's not going to get disappointed and then think she's failing, because that's what I see happen so many times. People think that they are failing and then they give up. They're not. It's just the way it works. And you're doing the right things. You just need to trust the process and stick to it. And I think when you can understand that failure is something to expect, and you take that pressure off, it really helps you with your results. And what we're wanting to do is when we have like a failure, you know, or something that you perceive as not perfect, then you've got to learn where the holes are. So you've got to learn where the holes are in your program, because you're not going to find something that works for you perfectly. How I eat now and how I train and how I do things is totally different to how I did it 10 years, totally different. And I had to go through the process of learning the stuff to get to where I'm today. It's learning this stuff so then you can really start to build a strong foundation. So that is the expectation that I want you to have, is that, and when something happens that's not perfect, be like, yes, how can I fix it? How can I learn from this? And that's what the exciting thing is. Not, oh my God, it wasn't perfect, that means I'll just give up. No, you learn from it. And that's what's so important. And we really want to be building things up and building this strong foundation so that it lasts forever. And the quicker that you start learning those things, the quicker that you start learning the lessons and moving on from them, then the quicker you're going to start building a foundation that's going to sustain you, and then you'll get to wherever you want to be, but you've not got through a form of restriction or over exercising or doing something that you're not really enjoying. The pressure to be perfect is unsustainable. So I want you to really keep reminding yourself that if you are somebody that feels like you need to be perfect and that everything needs to be perfect or it needs to be a perfect time, it's unsustainable. And you've spent enough time doing extreme diets, extreme crappy things. It's time to stop. It's time to really stop and just start finding something that works for you and you'll be able to stick to forever. And I always ask people things. So I'll get people and they'll come and they'll say, well, for 8 weeks, I'm not going to drink any alcohol. And I'm like, well, are you going to not drink any alcohol for the rest of your life? Well, no, don't just do it for the 8 weeks, because we want you to be able to lose weight if weight loss is a goal, if you want to be able to do that and find that balance that you can live with, and if you don't drink alcohol and then you go and drink alcohol after, it's just not going to work. So, so learn how to balance it in to your plan so that it is something that's sustainable. And I think when you say you can't do anything at all, you're just going to want and crave it more. So, and I feel that all the diets in the past, they're totally designed for you to fail. How many things do you think are out there that, they just want you to buy their products, or, they're just therefore they're not designed to be sustainable. 800 calories or 500 calories or cabbage diet or any of those things, like it's just not realistic, and it's not something that you can't live on 800 calories for your whole life. You can't live on, only eating cabbage or, all of those things. It's just not sustainable. So if you're thinking about starting anything, I want you to think, is this something I can live with? And if it's not something that you can live with forever, then don't do it. If it's something that you're like, well, I can do this short term, but the short term, you might lose weight, but you're going to put it back on when you go back to the old habits. And that's why I'm so big on habits. The thing that I'm a big stickler for is time. Time is so important, and I just wish people would, I'm not trying to force anybody into making a decision, but don't waste your time. Don't waste your time doing unrealistic, crazy, extreme diets that just aren't going to work for you long term, because you are just wasting your time. And it is the cost of that time that you're wasting, the cost on your health, the cost on your family, the cost on you. It is so important, and don't waste any more time than what you have to. Just find something that is sustainable, and this is what I teach in my classes and what I teach in the Little Black Dress Project, because you've got to find something that you can live with. And the more extreme that your diet that you've been doing is, the more difficult it's going to be to get you back to where you actually need to be. And the longer that you delay doing something that's sustainable and something that works for you, the longer that you're restricting your food and thinking that you need to keep eating less food, the longer the repair process is going to take. And then you're forcing yourself into a result. So you're forcing yourself by not eating food to try to get something. And the process is just going to take you so much longer, because it doesn't last. It's not going to last. I had somebody that it's taken me years for them to finally start eating properly, and it's so amazing that they're doing it now, and they can see how much more energy they have. They're eating the right amount of foods for their body, and they're actually losing weight. They're losing weight, and it's coming down, and they can live their life. They're not having to restrict. They're not having to starve, or feel like they have to over-exercise. It's actually working, but it's taken like years for them to start to get it through their head. And we want to get off this hamster wheel. We have this hamster wheel of the things you've done in the past, and we want to get off it. We want to get off that hamster wheel and start, just start moving forward. Start moving forward and making changes. And you think of that quote of insanity, which is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. And if you are doing the same thing, we've got to change. We really need to start to change. Now, I like to, tell people to expect failures, to take perfection off the table and all of those things, but it can be a bit of a slippery slope. So when I'm saying this, it doesn't mean that you go the other extreme. It doesn't mean that we then go to the other end. So if you have been somebody that's been, you have to be perfect, you can't do this wrong, you can't do this wrong, I don't then want you to go to the other extreme, and then it becomes okay for you to totally blow out, and you've got to find you've got to be responsible for some things, and you've got to find that nice balance. So as much as we're taking perfection and all those things off the table, and understanding that there is failures and all this. You have to understand that there is responsibilities, and you are responsible for things, and we don't want you to go the other tidal way, go the other extreme of that, and understand that you might be making excuses and rationalizing and justifying different things that you're doing. You can then start to take it too far, and you go from cutting yourself no slack at all to always cutting yourself slack. So we've got to find that little bit of a balance there. Now, the thing is, I hear this all the time, and I used to say it myself, but we have the excuse of, well, life happens, and but life is always going to happen, and things are always going to crop up. If you have children, if you have, with your work, in friends, family, always something is always going to crop up. But I want you to think about, are you using this as an excuse? So are you someone that says, oh, well, when life happened, it all fell to shit, and it's just an excuse. So life does happen, and it's always going to happen, and you're then setting yourself up to say, well, I can only get a result when things are perfect. And again, life is not perfect. So we need to be able to learn to do things and ride the waves. Yeah, excuses are not going to help you moving forward. It's really easy. It's easy. It is easy to wake up and to not go to the gym. It is easy to wake up and not get your steps in. It's not to go for a walk. It's easy to eat crappy food that makes you feel crappy and isn't aligning with your goals. All that stuff is easy, and we default to those easy options. And but when you have to put a focused effort in and really focusing on what you're doing and the things that make you a better person, and how good do you feel when you put that more focused effort in. And the thing that blows me away, and I've done it before, I've felt great and gone a bit haywire, and then come back and been like, oh my God, I feel so much better when I do this. I don't want to go haywire again. And it's learning. And that's what I said. I want you to get these lessons and learn it and start to move forward from it. But when you are doing all these things that make you feel better, how good do you feel about yourself? How good does your day flow? How good does everything is? So yeah, those easy options, they might be easier in the short term, but they're definitely not easier for the long term. The easy stuff, it's aging you. And it's eventually going to all catch up on you. And the thing that surprises me is, why do people not take their health and their fitness serious until they suddenly get sick, or until they suddenly have something about it? Get on top of it before all of that stuff happens. And think about all that easy stuff. It might be easy, but it's not good for your health. People say, oh, I know I shouldn't drink this much, or I know I shouldn't do that. Well, if you know you shouldn't do it, why are you doing it? Because it's not worth it in the long run. And I really want everybody to think about the long-term cost, and how those easy options are impacting your family and your life and your relationships and your work and everything else. Because when you are feeling good about yourself, you show me, like, when you are doing the things that align with you and the things that work for you, how much differently do you show up? How differently do you show up to your work? How differently do you show up to your kids or to your friends? You show up so much differently. And how can you be the best version of yourself when you're ignoring the things that work for you, and you're just taking those easy options? So that's what I want you to think about. We could always have an excuse every day not to show up and be the best version of ourselves. There is always an excuse that we could tell ourselves or that we could make up. But I truly believe that you are here for a reason, and that we all are unique, and we all have something to give and provide for ourselves, for our family, for the people around us. We all are here, and there's nobody else but you. And you want to give yourself the best opportunity to be that best version of yourself, so then you can live your best life. Like I see people that they can't do certain things, or they, like you can't, and I think, but that's a choice, because you can start to become a different person. You can work on, like people that have I can't do this. Well, you could start, slowly working at things and making a difference so that you can start doing. You can then chase around your kids, or you can do things. All of that stuff is an excuse. And yeah, it's difficult at the start, but you can make the choice to change and be that best version of yourself. You are your greatest asset. You are your greatest asset, and you are making that asset deteriorate. And when you allow your excuses to win every day, when you have a reason not to do the things that you want to do or you need to do, when you justify it and you make it all okay, and we have those same excuses, I want you to think about, what's the stories that you're telling in your head? What are the things that you're telling yourself that you can't do? I can't do this because of this. I can't. When you're doing that self every day, you are just taking that easy route out. You are taking away your purpose from you. You are taking away showing up as the best version of yourself. You are taking away from your uniqueness. Everybody is missing out, and so are you, on you being that best version of yourself. And it's in you. It's totally in you. And you can always choose to turn up as that best version of yourself. And, you can, when you are not taking charge of things, so you are not managing your sleep, you're not managing stress, not managing your water, you're not exercising in some form, or you're not focusing on having quality nutrition, that's the things. But you have a choice in all of them. They are all the things that you can control, and you have that choice, and you are choosing to not be that best version of yourself, and it's all in you. And I hear people saying the same things, and look, I'm not perfect. I've definitely done it before, but I take ownership. I take ownership now of everything. And people might say, oh, I've had a rough day at work, go and eat crappy food, get a takeaway, and have a block of chocolate. You're the one that's acting in that way, and you really need to think about that. Whose choice is that? You think about, you have an argument with your partner, and you have an argument with them, so then you go out and you drink 3 bottles of wine. Then again, you are the one that is making that choice to do that. And I want you to understand that every problem that we have, every hurdle, or everything that life happens, it's not a cause and effect. So it's not like, well, because this happens, this is why I did this, because this has happened. They are two isolated events. And that's how you need to start to think of them as. You are marrying them together to justify those actions and the decisions that you're making. So you're saying things like, I wasn't feeling that well, so I didn't have any food, and I chose to only eat junk food. And well, no, you can reframe that as in, I wasn't feeling that well, so I decided to eat junk food. So it's very different from, I wasn't feeling well, so I ate junk food. Comparing it to, I wasn't feeling that well, so I decided to eat food. So you are taking ownership. You made that choice. The same thing is, you see somebody that triggers you in a way, or you have a fight with your partner and that triggers you in another way. Like all of those things. It's not your partner's fault that you were triggered. It's not their fault that you ate that food. It's not their fault. You made that decision. And the more that you can start taking ownership of those things, the more you can start really moving forward. When you're connecting those things to an event, you're giving your power away, and you're taking responsibility away from yourself, and you're placing it onto someone else. And you've now created a response for yourself to go, well, I can only get these results, when I have a good day. I can only get the results when life is perfect. And it just doesn't work that way. And all of these random events, they're always going to happen, but stop trying to marry them together and putting blame. Understand that it's a separate decision, and put the responsibility onto yourself. I understand that we have defaults, and it can take time to do this because we always default to a certain behavior. But the important thing that I would love you to take away from this is to start recognizing it and then start to learn from that. It's so, so, so important. The thing to remember as well is you are the one that put them together. So you bridge these two things together, and you can also separate them. All right. So you're the one that made them come together, and you can separate them. And like I said before, we understand that we have habits that we've done before. We always default to doing this, but just starting to learn and starting to slowly change the next time this event happens or life happens. Instead of defaulting to your old behavior, you can learn and you can start a new behavior and make that choice of something that aligns with your goals. And you have to really start to put responsibility and ownership on yourself, and get in a new habit of disconnecting these two events. And by taking ownership, you're owning responsibility, and you are now in control. And how much of a difference does that make? That you, instead of playing the victim, you can understand that you made that choice, and that is okay. Like I said, there is no right or wrong. It's just understanding that you made that choice. If I put on, I put on a bit of weight, I can totally be like, oh, yep, I know what I've been doing. I need to wind in a little bit, not be like, oh, it's not my fault. I've put on weight. I shouldn't have done it. I shouldn't have been eating perfectly. Why would I put on weight? You need to be honest with yourself. And I always have people who say, but I'm doing everything perfectly. And I was like, well, show me, show me. And they can't, because they've not, but they're lying to themselves. And that's what I want you to just start taking responsibility and it's fine. There is no right or wrong, but you could also say, well, at the moment, this isn't a priority, and that's okay. It isn't a priority. I need to put it on the back burner for a little while, and then I'll come back to it. And that's also all fine. But when we are feeling in control and we know that we're in the driver's seat, it's so much more powerful. Understanding that you separately made a decision, and that you, when we're like pretending that we didn't have control over the situation, we really want to own it, so then you can change it. And the sooner that you start to take responsibility, the sooner that you can change it and start really getting the results that you want to be. And I understand that people feel frustrated, that they're not where they want to be, and when you're not where you want to be, and you feel like you're doing everything right and you're just not getting the results, but the only person you really have to look at for why you're not there is you. You can't join a gym, and just because you've joined a gym, then you get a result. You've got to go in, you've got to do the work. I can't do the push-ups for you. I can't do the exercises. You've got to go in and do them yourself. You want to get a strong core. Well, you're not going to get a strong core by just saying, I want a strong core. You need to do the work every day. And then it all starts to become so much clearer how you can be, frustrated that you're not where you want to be, and you're doing all the things that you think you need to do, but then we start to justify it and rationalize it. We give excuses, and we give those excuses to death, and then now you've pushed the responsibility off of yourself. And because you've done that, you still expect the results. You feel that you're entitled to those results. Well, people say, well, I joined this program and, I set a goal, but I didn't achieve it. And then I'd be like, well, but did you do all the things I asked you to? Did you follow this? Did you get your steps in? Did you do Did you do all those things? Oh, I didn't do them all. Well, then, it's crucial. It's crucial. There's steps. And from somebody, if you're being guided by someone, or you're being trained by a trainer, or any of those things, trust me, they have experience. And for me, I've trained hundreds and hundreds of men and women. I've trained mostly women, and I've trained them, and I understand how the body works. I understand a lot about how our head works, and how they need to all connect in together. You need to take advice from somebody that's been there, somebody that's done it, somebody that's trained lots of people, and they've been able to deal with lots of different scenarios to help you get there. And there's not a one size fits all. It's got a program. It's got to be unique and tailored to you, because you are unique. And but I really feel that people then they feel that they're entitled to the results, but they're making all these excuses and they're not taking responsibility. And when you're placing all that external blame, but your results will really start when you start taking ownership and responsibility. And it's okay to recognize that. It's okay to recognize that there's patterns. That's okay for things not to be working. It's okay to recognize that patterns that you have, and that's great, because when you start to recognize it, that's how you can do something about it. that's how you can do something about it, and then you can start truly making a change. Today, I would love you to take away that I want you to think about the stories that you're telling yourself in your head, and maybe just start to recognize if you are taking ownership of stuff, and how you can start knowing that you have a choice. Like I said, there is no right or wrong, but just don't, if you feel like you've been doing something and you're not getting a result you want, you've got to be looking into yourself a little bit more and ask yourself truly, am I doing everything that I should be doing? What am I doing? There's got to be some responsibility. And when you do start taking that, you will really, really start to see your results. Now, if this has resonated with you, if you've been able to have an aha moment or any of those things, please share it with me. I would love to hear, and I would love to hear how you are being able to put something else into place so that you can really start to go out and achieve that goal. And if there's anybody that you think it would help, please share. All right, I will speak to you all soon. Have a great day. Thanks for listening to the Elliott's PT podcast. I hope you have been able to find this information of use to you. If you know someone who might enjoy this podcast, please share it with them. And ensure that you subscribe so you can be the first to know when new podcasts are released. If you have the time to leave a 5-star review, that would be amazing, and it would be greatly appreciated. If you do so, please screenshot and share onto any of our socials and tag us. Then email the screenshot to hello@elliotspt.com and we will send you a free gift to your inbox. Thanks so much. Have an amazing day. Speak soon.